Hi, I'm Jeff Forster. I'm the lead pastor at Heritage Church in Sterling Heights, Michigan. And I'm going to talk today about developing relationships with global churches. We've built a lot of our philosophy for church ministry, especially with regard to global missions, around this idea that all mission is local mission. And the idea behind that is less and less is the focus about sending full-time missionaries from the West to unreached people groups. And instead, how do we begin to partner with people that are more local, that are closer? One of the things, we were working with a group that's trying to reach Tibetans. And one of the things that we discovered is that oftentimes the Western people that had moved in were struggling to learn the language and struggling to learn the culture. Whereas when we found some other Christians that were just around the corner, just literally over the mountain, one valley over, two valleys over, that understood most of the language, understood much of the culture, they were much more effective and reached people at a much more rapid rate. So we began to encourage our friends to begin to work with them, the people that were close, they were nearby the unreached people groups. And so that's when we became very convicted about the idea that all mission is local mission. So how do we in the West partner with people in other parts of the world for the most effective use of kingdom resources and the most effective impact with the gospel? And so remembering that all mission is local mission, then we began to ask, who do we know? As we began to pray about, God, where do you want us to go? Who do you want us to reach? Who do you want us to partner with? God began to lay on our hearts different countries, different people groups that we just got enthusiastic about. So I would ask you, what region, what people group, what place in the world makes your heart beat fast? What is that place you've always wanted to go to or be a part of, or that you have a heart for the culture? Because a lot of times God has placed that in your heart to draw you to invest in reaching those people. And then as God began to pull us towards Kenya or pull us towards Cuba or some of the other places that we serve, God began to also lay on our heart to make connections with other leaders. And so we began to ask ourselves, who are the leaders that we know that are relatively close? And so usually the answer to your questions, the answer to any problems you have are usually not how or what, but usually who. If you can find the person that already knows the answer, already has a connection, it helps you accelerate you faster. So we began to ask, who do we know? And for us, our friends at the Timothy Initiative and some of our friends that were already embedded in ministry in Cuba and Kenya and different places, began to help us make connections with network leaders. As we began to look for partnerships, we began to look for leaders of leaders, and we wanted to invest in them. So instead of planting a church with the Pokot people in Western Kenya, what we looked for was a church planter who had a passion for planting many churches, and that we believed had the skills and the ability to do this and the calling. And so we put together a coalition of a few American churches to partner with this guy. And over the last several years, we've helped plant 250 churches among the Pokot people because we worked with a network leader, and we see greater transformation in that region. And then we learned very quickly that we don't have all the answers. We have to come in and be a student of the culture. That requires humility, which, by the way, the Bible promises to bless people who are humble. And so God blesses the humble. He resists the proud. And so we learned very quickly that instead of coming in and offering Western answers and coming in and demanding our way, we would come in and instead listen. We wanted to not just point out to them, here's all your problems and here's how we can fix them. We want to come in here, what do you feel is the greatest need in your community, and how can we learn from you? It's been a tremendous experience. Coming in and sharing ideas before we ever shared any money was a very important principle for us, because when you share money, it very quickly develops a relationship of a master and a servant. But when you're sharing ideas, it's a friendship, mentor type of a relationship. And so sharing ideas first was very important. We became a student. And then we chose to invest in growing and empowering leaders more than anything else. When you invest in the local leaders, it becomes an indigenous movement. It becomes a local movement rather than a Western movement being imposed upon a local community. And so it all comes back to this idea that all mission is local mission. I hope that helps. This has been a Whiteboard Leadership moment. To get more information, go to converge.org.